Do viruses always mutate? I know we can't tell whether it's going to mutate to become more contagious, but is mutation a given?
Yes, viruses evolve very quickly, and it's part of the mechanism that they have for evading our immune systems. It comes from the fact that they have to reproduce very quickly, and they have quite inefficient reproduction systems. So when a virus is reproducing, there will be very many copies of the virus that are non-functional, but as long as there are enough functional ones to find another cellular host, then that's good enough for the virus. So they tend to be very error-prone in their reproduction, but this also means that they can change shape gradually, and the immune system, which relies on antibodies recognizing the shape of the virus, will eventually lose its capacity to prevent the virus infecting humans. And that indeed is why we have to have a flu vaccine, a new flu vaccine every winter, because the flu virus is one of these very quickly evolving viruses. Coronaviruses in general are less quickly evolving than flu. So perhaps we won't quite see this phenomenon with coronavirus. And maybe once we have a vaccine for coronavirus, which of course is not guaranteed, but we hope that we will have one soon enough, we may not necessarily need a booster vaccine every year for coronavirus as we currently do for flu. It might be that it will last a few years before a new one is needed. But yes, the viruses will always evolve, and that means that eventually our immunity to them wanes, and vaccines have to be replaced by new versions of vaccines.
Really good to have your expertise. Thank you for that. That's Derek Gatherer, a virologist and lecturer at Lancaster University. Afghan's public health minister has tested positive for coronavirus. It's believed the minister has been quarantining for several days. Afghanistan has around 3,500 confirmed infections and just over 100 deaths. At least 11 people have been killed by a gas leak at a plastics factory in India. More than 300 others have been taken to hospital. The incident happened after gas tanks were left unattended for 40 days because of India's lockdown. Elizabeth Puranam reports from the capital, New Delhi.
Panic and chaos in India's southern city of Visakhapatnam as people living in an industrial area began losing consciousness. That's after a gas leak at a plastics factory owned by South Korean company LG Chemicals. The leak happened early on Thursday morning when most people were asleep. The National Disaster Response Force evacuated at least 1,000 people from a 3-kilometre radius around the factory.
There were some people who were unconscious or semi-conscious. There were people who were not able to move. There were children, there were women, there were people who are elders. All of them were helped.
At least 800 were taken to hospital with breathing difficulties and irritated skin. Police said that styrene gas leaked out of two 5,000-ton tanks, which had been left unattended as the factory was closed for 40 days during India's lockdown. They said that heat produced inside the tanks was released soon after the factory reopened. LG Chemicals confirmed the plant wasn't operating because of the lockdown, but said there were maintenance staff at the facility. Emergency workers said the leak was brought under control by midday.
So now the focus is not so much on the gas leakage as the effects of the gas leakage and the treatment of the people who have been affected.
LG said it was investigating the cause.
The Industries Minister of the state of Andhra Pradesh said it looked as though proper procedures weren't followed when the plant reopened. He also said they want the company to ensure the same level of responsibility is taken if the incident were to happen in the EU or United States.
Police in the eastern city of Raigad also revealed that there was a gas leak at a paper mill on Wednesday. They said the owner tried to hide the incident, in which at least 7 workers were hospitalized, some in critical condition. Like the factory in Visakhapatnam, police said the paper mill had also been shut during India's lockdown and workers had been preparing to reopen it. Elizabeth Puranam, Al Jazeera, New Delhi.
Pakistan's Prime Minister Imran Khan says he'll start lifting the lockdown from Saturday despite a high number of cases. There are more than 24,000 confirmed infections and 564 deaths. Kamal Haider is in Islamabad. He says people are already breaking restrictions.
The doctors have been warning that this could have devastating consequences. They were earlier also objecting to the congregational prayers. The government is still going ahead with this particular easing of the lockdown. So it is going to be important to see how this plays out, because so far transport services are also disrupted. Air and train travel will only resume after a decision from the provinces, and 2 days a week will be a complete strict lockdown. So it's going to be important to see whether people pay any heed or attention to this, because we have seen across Pakistan, even during the lockdown, people moving around in large groups in the markets and not paying any attention to the SOPs.
The US Senate has failed to override President Donald Trump's veto of the Iran War Powers resolution. The bill would have blocked any military action against Iran without prior congressional approval. It was passed by Congress in March, but Trump vetoed the bill on Wednesday, calling it insulting. It needed at least 67 votes to pass. Israel's president has given Benjamin Netanyahu the mandate to form a coalition between himself and political rival Benny Gantz. But some Israelis are angry about Netanyahu forming a government while still under indictment for corruption. It's all happening after months of political deadlock and 3 inconclusive elections in less than a year. Well, there's been a breakthrough in Iraq. A new prime minister has been appointed following months of deadlock and arguments within rival parties. Former intelligence chief Mustafa al-Kadhimi is the 3rd candidate to try to form a government since November. His predecessor resigned after weeks of often violent mass protests demanding political change and better standards of living. Parliament has approved some members of the new cabinet as the country strives to solve an economic crisis worsened by the coronavirus emergency. A 2-week lockdown's been imposed on a suburb of Kenya's capital, where the infection rate has increased. The government's ordered restrictions in Eastleigh, a neighbourhood in Nairobi. 26 Kenyans have died and almost 600 cases reported nationwide. Well, warnings about the spread of the virus misinformation are being issued in Africa. Health experts say the presidents of some countries are undermining efforts to contain the spread. Catherine Sawyer reports from Nairobi.
Victor Ngethe's job as a journalist with a fact-checking agency is to verify information on the internet and examine the truth to what government and political leaders are saying. He especially needs to be more diligent during the coronavirus pandemic. Ngethe has just analyzed a social media video of the governor of Kenya's capital, Nairobi, Mike Sonko, who recently included bottles of a brand of cognac in food relief packs, and gave this explanation.
That is Hennessy, which has some percentage of alcoholic content, and that should act as a throat sanitizer. It kills the virus. In case the virus is held somewhere in the throat, it kills.
As the disease continues to spread across the continent, so does misinformation about it.
A lot of false information and a lot of misinformation and disinformation play on your emotions. And when people are emotional, they can't be critical.
It's only this product in the world that kills the virus. People using SARS.
In Uganda, President Yoweri Museveni recently endorsed the production of a sanitizing spray that a medical investor said could cure the disease. Madagascar's President Andry Rajoelina also launched the distribution of a herbal drink he said kills the virus. In Kenya, some people are using home remedies they swear will protect them from getting sick. The World Health Organization has said there is no proven cure or vaccine.
These are confusing times for everybody. Many people are now relying more on online content for their coronavirus updates. Some of those we talk to say they are overwhelmed by all the information on social media. Others say they are relying on so-called cure recipes they've seen online. And most of this false information has been shared millions of times across the continent.
Morina Kenya is a volunteer with the Kenyan Red Cross. She distributes sanitizer, soap and masks on the streets of Nairobi and offers accurate information as opposed to the misinformation online.
Other people are telling us that they're drinking a lot, so it means they cannot contact the virus. And there are people who believe that COVID-19 is not for Africans. They are saying that thing is... In fact, this morning someone carried me and he told me COVID-19 is just for rich people. He doesn't believe in that.
She says the only way to counter the online misinformation is doing what she's doing, talking to people, answering their questions, and trying to calm their fears. Catherine Soy, Al Jazeera, Nairobi, Kenya.
The Prime Minister of Lesotho says he's retiring at the end of next month. 8-year-old Thomas Tabane says he's leaving because of his age, not because of growing political pressure. He's been implicated in the murder of his estranged wife 3 years ago. Tabane's new wife has been charged. His lawyers argued the Prime Minister's immunity from prosecution.
I took the decision to retire from office voluntarily, despite the fact that my constitutional term is due to end in 2022. As I did indicate in January, the job of Prime Minister requires sensory perception as well as rapid and physical strength. Due to my age, I am no longer as energetic as I used to be. As such, I have decided to voluntarily vacate office and over the reins of government in accordance with the laws of Lesotho.
Still ahead on Al Jazeera, tips for staying fit during the pandemic in both mind and body. And one of the most ferocious fighters in boxing history eyes a return to the ring. When it comes to staying fit and healthy, social distancing and lockdowns have challenged many. But being active can help people cope both physically and mentally. Doctors say staying fit helps protect our health now and in the future. And it's a great way to manage stress, strengthen the immune system and fight disease. The pandemic has led to a surge in online fitness classes for all ages, from yoga and dance to high-intensity cardio workouts. And as some countries ease lockdowns, more people are taking walks, cycling or jogging. The World Health Organization advises people to exercise regularly, meditate, keep regular sleep routines and eat healthy food. Samir Bicic is CEO of Resync Enterprises and the Director of Fitness for the City of Houston. He says in the absence of a vaccine, a healthy lifestyle is the best protection from the coronavirus.
There's a clearly correlation between obesity, unhealthy lifestyle,